Hello, people. Today I am going to present the pitch idea for a movie that I call In a Dark Room on the Dawn Palace, based upon a book that I wrote of the same title, just in Portuguese, no Palácio, num quarto escuro no Palácio da Alvorada, which means in a dark room on the Dawn Place. For you that doesn't know, Dawn Palace is the name of the presidential palace here in Brazil. So before I begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give some thoughts about the idea that I'm giving for this movie. First of all, I want to say that this is a fictional story, but is based uh, over a recent history in Brazilian Republic. So this is the story of basically the story of a professor, a sociologist that during the events of 2015, 2014, 2015 here in Brazil, he begins a journey of searching or researching, as he called, as he is a social researcher, for the answer, the truth about what was really happening in the Brazilian politics and economics. And for this research, he goes from a regular teacher, a regular professor in a university, to underground traveler that goes from place to place, not attacking but addressing indirectly five of the former presidents of the Brazil Republic, ending with the president at the time. That's why it's called in the dark room. In the dark room, on the Dawn Palace, he meets the president that was the president at the time, and confronts her. It was a woman present. Confronts her with the questionings about the responsibility and the responsibility of the presidents over the social and economic problems in Brazil since the early 80s, early 1980s, when the country got his democracy back. Okay, so for this he gets involved with several escorts women, prostitutes, that helps him to achieve his goals. And in this way, he makes some relationships with them, and also there are a lot of flashbacks of his life, conducting the audience to understand why he's doing that, why he is the way he is. So in this way of these flashbacks, he the story presents that he was a child, a boy that was raised by his father, and his father was a left-wing man that believed very much in socialism. And when the Brazil became returned to democracy, this father of his believed a lot in the new in the new situation of the country with democracy back, but he still believed in this left wing beliefs about a more equal society, in a way that about 1992, when the former president at the time that was impeached, he was in the streets celebrating the impeachment of the president, and he got a heart attack and died. So he has this very close relationship with his father that dies and he was very young, just 18, 19 years old. And in this time, he was in college, studying sociology, and he meets his future wife, and future ex-wife, which who he has a marriage by accident, because he impregnates her and they decide to get married, but they have other divergences, mainly because he is a very minutious researcher, and he does makes a lot of money, and the wife is a psychologist with political points of view towards to the right wing, and that difference of oranges of them become more strong with the years, especially because he goes to France to make to do his PhD, his doctorate, and they become apart for some time, and he doesn't have much money to support her, and she ends up abandon him, get divorced from him, and married his lawyer in France. That's funny, funny thing about that. And he gets a little bit lonely, but he tries to keep his relationship with his son. He named Vladimir. Oh, I said the name. And the name of the main character is Label, and the wife is Rose. So the son is Vladimir, and the mother Rose conducts us, drives the son to be right wing too, but he's still attached emotionally to the father. And there are also some flashbacks about history events that in the minds of Label is something that has to do with the problem in Brazil, like the the Russian Revolution, the French Revolution, the Cuban Revolution, uh, places where the political divergence caused some kind of a convulsion. And in this way, the convulsion that was happening in Brazil during 2014, 2015, that leads to the impeachment of the president at the time in 2016. But the story ends in December 2015, before the president was she was impeached. And also the book was released before, so I didn't know that the impeachment would happen. But I'm kind of anticipated that in the story. So he goes to research about the origins of the crisis, the origins of Brazilian politics, and somehow he discovers that in all that all the presidents that governed Brazil since 1986, 85, 86, during this after dictatorship uh, republic, they had some kind of responsibility that they were not taking, and so he confronts these former presidents in different ways. The first one he confronts with a sign that's the prostitutes opens signs in his hometown, and he has some kind of a guilty attack. I don't know, some kind of this thing, and he has a heart attack later on and dies. But it wasn't his intention to kill him. The second one, that was the president that was impeached back in 1992. He's confronted with an illusion that was created by labels hits with some uh, some weapon that injects a drug in him, and he has an illusion that he's poor. So he freak out. Yeah, he freaks out because has always been rich and powerful, and suddenly he sees himself as a poor man, a worker, and he ends up in a hospital after he passing out. But he still thinks he's a poor man and working, and he jumps out the window and kill himself. End up killing himself. And again, it was an accident. It wasn't planned by label. The third one was the president that governed Brazil in since from 1994 to 2002, and he's confronted with this guy's label that presents to him as a former a colleague from the French university. They both made doctorate in Sorbonne, and during the conversation, Labelle he lets um, some kind of air drug goes, a drug that makes the person says the truth, and says the truth no matter what question is. It's a drug that he learned to do by Russian websites of former spies, and he knows Russian. He knows Russian, and the next president is the president that governed Brazil from 2003 to 2010, and is a former worker, former labor worker from the industry, and he was has a poor orange, so on, and he do something different. Instead of making him telling the truth, he shows how others around him thinks about his government, and he sees that despite of his initial interest of uh, helping the poor people to develop to get better situation in the country, the others politicians surrounding him actually were thinking that they were getting rich, they were growing in richness for because of his connection, the connection with this president. And the last one is the president at the time, and she was had the palace stealthily invaded by label because he was had a sex to the security and the schedule of the people in the palace, and he confronts her with a dialogue, and this dialogue shows that despite of everything, the presidency is more important than the presidents, and most of these presidents were not respecting the presidency very much, and what she was doing at the time was going to be her demise. What end up being her demise, and was putting out of the office by force of impeachment. And by this time, Label is very known and involved with the problem. And when he step out of the house, of the palace, there is a lot of security surrounding. He makes a great spectacle by trying to uh, appearing to be escaping with a violent way, with a gun with blanks, and forces the security people to shoot him in a spectacular way with the media surrounding. And we end up knowing that by this time he sent all his research, all his discoveries to a friend that was also a teacher. And he did that because he discovered that in our society, what happens, what has importance, has to be a spectacle in the media. So then becoming a spectacle in the media, a show in the media that you are listening to influence people and so on, which is very contemporary today. And this is the basic story of the for the movie, for the movie, story of the book for the movie. Has it has some other things then that as application of history knowledge and personal knowledge about there are two police and two investigators that appears in the story. One is local that begin the investigation of the disappearing of label. He went missing because he went to in his mission, and they discover all this information that he had about the former presidents, about the Russian websites, about the sports girl, and all this thing was in his house. So they start to researching, and then when there is the attack on the third former president, he began to be investigated by the federal police, and there is another investigator that is also become some kind of a someone that goes after him to stop him to do whatever he was doing, since two other former presidents died in the process, not on purpose, but they did. So it is a police story, no? A thriller, a police thriller. It's a political thriller, and also a very personal story about someone that has the urge to know the truth, and in this process he turns into some kind of a anti-hero or terrorist in the view of others, and he has this connection with the the political landscape in the country since he was a kid with his father, and then becoming a researcher, a teacher, and he sees all this turmoil in the country in the year 2014, 2015, and he wants to get involved in a way that makes a difference. But of course, no one make a difference just being well informed. So he acts and does these things, which drives the story all the way. So this is the story for the in a dark room on the Dawn Palace, which can change the name. I thought that dark room would be fine. I don't know, in the dark room maybe, but it's the original title. So I hope you enjoy. I hope that someday this speech gets to someone that can turn into a piece of movie, a film, a series. A movie will be fine, I think. For a series, I think is little, or maybe someone that wants to develop more becomes a series. And we see in the next video with the next speech.